In the dead of night, under a relentless Chicago downpour that felt like the city's own fury unleashed, 74-year-old Eleanor Thompson stood shivering on the cracked sidewalk, her suitcase thudding wetly against the pavement. Her own son, David, the boy she'd raised through scraped knees, late-night fevers, and endless sacrifices, had just slammed the door in her face. His voice echoing like thunder, "You're nothing but a burden. Mom, we can't do this anymore." At that moment, as rain soaked through her thin cardigan and blurred her vision, Eleanor wasn't just abandoned, she was erased. But little did David know, this wasn't the end of her story. It was the spark that would ignite a firestorm of truth, resilience, and unbreakable will. Eleanor's life hadn't always been this fractured. Born in the windy streets of Chicago during the post-war boom, she'd grown up in a modest bungalow on the South Side, where her father worked the steel mills and her mother stitched dresses to make ends meet. Eleanor had dreamed big, becoming a high school English teacher, inspiring generations of kids with tales of Shakespeare and Steinbeck. She'd married Henry, a kind-hearted mechanic with a laugh that could light up Wrigley Field, and together they'd built a home filled with love, laughter, and their only child, David. Henry had passed 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack, leaving Eleanor to navigate widowhood in a world that seemed to shrink around her. David and his wife, Lisa, had invited her to live with them in their suburban Oak Park home, promising family unity. But promises, Eleanor learned, were as fragile as autumn leaves in a gale. The betrayal didn't happen overnight. It started with subtle digs, Lisa complaining about the extra mouth to feed, David sighing over grocery bills. Eleanor, ever the peacemaker, had dipped into her modest savings to help, buying school clothes for her grandchildren and covering utilities. But as David's real estate business faltered in the economic slump, the resentment boiled over. That fateful night, after a heated argument about her freeloading, David hurled her suitcase into the storm. "You've taken enough from us," he shouted, his face twisted in a rage Eleanor barely recognized. The door's slam reverberated louder than the thunder, sealing her out in the cold. Eleanor didn't beg. Pride, forged from years of standing tall in chaotic classrooms, kept her moving. She trudged through the flooded streets, her loafers squelching, until her legs buckled under a graffiti-covered underpass near the expressway. Huddled against the concrete, suitcase as her makeshift pillow, she listened to the symphony of sirens and splashing tires. The rain hammered down, mirroring the storm in her chest. How could he? She whispered to the shadows. Memories flooded her. David's first steps, his high school graduation where she'd beamed with pride, the way Henry used to say, "Our boy's gonna make us proud." Now, she felt invisible, discarded like an old textbook. Passers-by hurried by, umbrellas shielding their indifference. To them, she was just another homeless soul in a city of millions. But inside, something cracked, not her spirit, but the illusion of unconditional family love. Hours blurred into eternity. Around 3 a.m., as the rain eased to a drizzle, footsteps echoed, deliberate, not hurried. Eleanor looked up, heart pounding. There, like a ghost from her past, stood Abigail Reynolds, her younger sister by 4 years. Abigail, the fiery artist who'd fled Chicago for Miami's sun-drenched shores decades ago. Her hair matted from the rain, eyes blazing with a mix of shock and fury. They hadn't spoken much since Henry's funeral. Life's currents had pulled them apart, but here she was, trench coat dripping, a miracle in the murk. Abigail didn't waste words. She knelt, brushed the wet strands from Eleanor's face, and clasped her hand. That touch, warm, human, shattered the numbness. "Ellie," she murmured, using the childhood nickname. "What the hell happened?" Eleanor couldn't speak. Tears finally came. Abigail helped her up, grabbed the suitcase, and led her to a rental car idling nearby. Inside, the heater blasted blessed warmth. Abigail handed her a thermos of chamomile tea, steaming and sweet. As they drove toward the highway, Abigail broke the silence. "You're coming with me to Miami. No arguments." Eleanor nodded, clutching the thermos like a lifeline. For the first time in weeks, safety flickered within her. The drive south was a blur of highways and rest stops. Abigail's determined profile a constant anchor. They'd grown up thick as thieves. Eleanor the steady one. Abigail the dreamer who painted vibrant murals and chased sunsets. But distance and life's demands had strained their bond. Now, as palm trees began dotting the landscape, Eleanor felt a shift. Surviving wasn't enough anymore. She needed to reclaim her life. They arrived at a motel on the outskirts of Tallahassee at dawn. Abigail handed Eleanor a key and a bag of fresh clothes. Shower, sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. Eleanor stepped under the hot spray, scrubbing away the grime of betrayal. In the mirror, her reflection blurred with steam, but resolve sharpened in her eyes. That night, in a real bed, she slept fitfully, dreams haunted by David's door slam. Morning brought clarity and revelation. Abigail, already packed, thrust a folder into Eleanor's hands as they hit the road. Open it. Inside, listings for a oceanfront condo in Miami Beach. 2 bedrooms. Balcony overlooking the Atlantic. Fully furnished. The price tag made Eleanor's stomach flip. Abby, what is this? Abigail kept her eyes on the interstate. It's yours. Bought it this morning. Wired the funds. No loans. No strings. Your name on the deed. Eleanor's mouth gaped. Flipping pages, she found photos. Sunlit kitchen with quartz counters. A cozy den with bookshelves begging for her classics collection. And on the last page, a bank statement for a new account in her name, $5 million deposited. The car swerved slightly as Eleanor gasped. Abby, how? Why? Abigail's voice softened, a rare crack in her tough exterior. I've been saving for years. Sis. Investments from my art sales. Wise choices. You didn't know because I didn't tell you. But after Henry died, I saw how David was treating you. This is your independence. No more burdens. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face as Florida's humid air enveloped them. The landscape shifted. Strip malls. Swaying palms. The salty tang of the sea. They pulled into a gated community. Cream stucco buildings with turquoise accents. A lobby scented with citrus and ocean breeze. The concierge smiled warmly, handing Abigail a welcome packet. Unit 3C was a dream. Light-flooded rooms. Pale blue walls echoing the sea. A balcony where waves crashed eternally. Eleanor stepped out, gripping the railing. The horizon endless. Abigail set the suitcase down. This is home now. I'm across the hall for a bit. Don't get any ideas about vanishing. Eleanor turned, words failing. Abigail met her gaze. I know what David did. What they've done. You don't have to explain. But they won't take another damn thing from you. She paused, voice stealing. I've called Victoria Hayes, my old college buddy. Shark of a lawyer. She's drafting protections, financial locks, legal shields. Whatever you want hidden stays buried, whatever they try. We're 2 steps ahead. As Abigail left, Eleanor lingered on the balcony. The ocean's rhythm syncing with her heartbeat. David thought he'd buried her under that Chicago bridge. Silenced by shame. He had no clue she was rising. Armed with truth that would dismantle his lies. 3 days later, Abigail threw a low-key welcome bash in the building's clubhouse, finger foods. Ocean views. A dozen neighbors. Retired couples. Widows with kind eyes. An old vet reminiscent of Henry. Eleanor wore a new blue sundress Abigail had picked. Feeling like herself again, she mingled lightly, savoring the anonymity. No one pried. They welcomed her as the new gal from up north seeking sun and second chances. But tension simmered. The security guard, a burly ex-cop named Ramirez, pulled her aside. Watch the hallways. Stranger lurking by mailboxes last night. Didn't match residents. Eleanor's chest tightened. Abigail nodded knowingly. Nothing escaped her. Midway through Abigail's toast to fresh starts, the door creaked. David and Lisa strode in. Dressed sharply, David in a pressed shirt. Lisa in pearls and heels, like they owned the place. Eleanor's stomach knotted. Abigail intercepted them, voice low but lethal. Not invited. Leave. David peered over, flashing a fake smile. Mom, we just want to talk. Eleanor gripped her glass. Silent. Abigail signaled staff. They escorted the pair out. Lisa didn't glance back. Later, Abigail confided. Saw Lisa's friend post online. Too specific to be coincidence. They're sniffing around your assets. That night, alone in her condo, Eleanor opened a notebook Abigail had gifted. Atop the page, what they stole. They'll return. Below, home, dignity, power. The game had begun. David and Lisa escalated swiftly. 2 days post-party, Abigail arrived with envelopes and her tablet. They're going legal, subtle, but clear, spread out. Emails, screenshots from a pie Abigail hired. David had queried out-of-state lawyers on power of attorney for elder care. Lisa scouted notaries on Facebook for in-home docs. Abigail tapped a page. They'll make it look helpful. Tears. Cookies. Then slip in signatures. Eleanor nodded. Steel forming. That afternoon, they hosted neighbors for coffee, casual cover. Abigail rigged a recorder under the table. Alerted the concierge to buzz David up if he showed. 20 minutes in, the knock came. Eleanor opened. David beamed. Lisa behind with a gift bag. Surprise visit. They entered, chattering shallowly. After pleasantries, David slid papers across. Family wellness agreement. Buried clauses. Temporary power over medical, financial decisions. Joint bank access. Abigail rose, producing a red-lined copy. Word for word from your draft last week. Time-stamped email. David's face paled. Abigail activated the recorder. Voice rising for witnesses. This strips Eleanor of rights under assistance, guys. Manipulation at its finest. David stammered. Lisa grabbed his arm. Eleanor tore the document. Quiet isn't weak. They fled. The attempts persisted. Orchids on her doorstep, ignored. Solo visits with takeout and please. Door stayed shut. Framed photos weaponizing memories. Eleanor recorded tones. Hesitations. Proof of access seeking. Not remorse. Victoria flagged David's address change attempt on Eleanor's bank mail. Abigail swapped locks. A false fire alarm? Camera caught David's jacket. Accounts sealed with alerts. Then, elder planner, knocked. Hired by family for estate review. Eleanor shut the door. Victoria filed complaints. David tried wine and practical talks. Through the crack. Don't return. His rage cracked. Abigail poisoned you. Eleanor's voice steady. No. You did. One Tuesday, David arrived empty-handed. Lisa by the elevator. Eleanor took his heartfelt letter. Regrets. Rebuilding. She pressed the hidden recorder. Invited him in alone. He sat, praising the condo. Then pivoted. We want peace. No money. Just emergency contacts. Folder out. Thin, but laced with access clauses. Eleanor trashed it. You lost trust. He left. Defeated. Victoria transcribed. Building a dossier. Logs. Photos. Audio. When a white envelope slipped under. Conservatorship filing. Claiming Eleanor's erratic decisions. Eleanor laughed. Victoria countered with velvet threats. Eleanor aced cognitive exams. Mailing results to David. Silence followed. Until a bank alert. Lisa posing as Eleanor for beneficiary ad. Frozen. Sealed into a foundation for elder abuse victims. Single moms over 60. Community health. Named after Henry. David invited dinner. Fresh start. Eleanor went. Envelope in purse. Over pot roast. They circled. Review estate decisions. She slid the addendum. All assets to the Henry Thompson Foundation. David's face hardened. You're choosing peace, she said gently. Not them. She left, exhaling freedom. But they persisted. A new motion. Contesting her manipulation. Forged signatures on foundation docs. Sloppy. Backdated. Victoria unraveled it. Metadata mismatches. Closed venues cited. Counterfiled for fraud. DA investigated. Court day. Evidence crushed them. Judge ruled for Eleanor. Referral for criminal probes. Weeks later, at a foundation event, workshops. Meals for 200. Eleanor spoke. This isn't about money. It's about not vanishing. Applause thundered. David vanished into silence. Lisa fled town. Eleanor planted gardens. Walked beaches. Wrote letters to herself. I endured. I thrive. In Miami's glow. Eleanor Thompson stood tall, not broken. but reborn. If betrayal's shadow touches you, remember, your story's pen is in your hand. Reclaim it. Imagine the soft glow of a Miami sunrise filtering through sheer curtains, casting golden hues on a woman who's just rediscovered her fire. At 74, Eleanor Thompson wasn't supposed to be starting over, she was supposed to fade quietly into the background. Another forgotten widow in a world that discards the elderly like yesterday's news. But oh, how wrong they were. This is the story of how Eleanor, with unyielding grit and a sister who refused to let her break, turned betrayal into a blazing triumph. Buckle up, because what follows isn't just a tale of survival, it's a masterclass in reclaiming your power when the world tries to strip it away. We'll dive deep into the twists, the heart-pounding confrontations, and the quiet victories that prove age is no barrier to badassery. It started small, like the first crack in a dam before the flood. Eleanor, fresh in her Miami Beach condo, wasn't content to just hide behind locked doors. No, with Abigail by her side, her fiery sister who'd traded Chicago's gray winters for Florida's vibrant art scene, and Victoria Hayes, a razor-sharp lawyer with a reputation for dismantling bullies in pinstripes. Eleanor began weaving a web of protection that would ensnare her tormentors. Picture this. Eleanor in her sunlit living room, the ocean's whisper a constant companion, as Victoria spread out legal blueprints on the coffee table. They're not done, Victoria warned, her voice like polished steel. David and Lisa see you as a vault they can crack. We make you unbreakable. First came the recordings, subtle devices hidden in plain sight, like the innocuous key fob by the door or an app on Eleanor's new phone. Every knock, every surprise visit from David was captured in crystal clear audio. Remember that orchid left on her doorstep? Ignored, but noted. The Italian takeout David brought. Pleading, family misses you. Recorded. His hesitation when Eleanor asked about Lisa's whereabouts betraying the scripted charm. Abigail, ever the strategist, hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-detective named Marco with a knack for digital shadows. He uncovered David's late-night emails to shady paralegals, querying elder financial oversight clauses. Lisa's Facebook marketplace hunts for mobile notaries screamed desperation. They're building a narrative, Abigail said, pacing the balcony as waves crashed below. That you're frail, unstable. We flip it. Eleanor's hands, once trembling from the cold Chicago rain, now steadied as she documented everything. In a leather-bound journal, a gift from Abigail, she logged dates, times, tones, what they tried, emotional bait with old photos. What failed? My silence. But defense wasn't enough. Eleanor went on the offensive. With Victoria's guidance, she established the Henry Thompson Foundation, named after her late husband, the mechanic whose steady hands had fixed more than cars. They'd mended her heart for decades. This wasn't some hasty charity, it was a fortress. Eleanor transferred her condo deed, the $5 million nest egg Abigail had gifted, and even residuals from Henry's pension into the foundation's trust. Its mission? Empowering single mothers over 60 navigating reinvention, supporting victims of elder abuse with legal aid and counseling, and funding community health clinics in underserved Miami neighborhoods. Why this? Eleanor asked Victoria during a late-night strategy session, herbal tea steaming between them. Because it's what you know. Victoria replied. You've lived the isolation, the dismissal. Now, you turn it into legacy. Board members were carefully chosen, not family, but powerhouses. A retired judge from Little Havana, a social worker who'd escaped domestic violence, a financial advisor specializing in women's wealth, protections layered on, irrevocable trusts, third-party oversight, alerts for any unauthorized access. When David tried changing Eleanor's bank mailing address, using an old phone number tied to her name, the system flagged it instantly. Abigail changed the locks that very day, her laugh sharp as she said, "Let them knock on air." The confrontations escalated, each one a pulse-pounding scene straight out of a thriller. Take the coffee gathering. Neighbors sipping lattes in Eleanor's condo. A casual facade. David and Lisa arrived uninvited. Gift bag in hand, homemade cookies, of course. Chit-chat turned to David's helpful document, a family wellness agreement, laced with clauses granting him medical and financial proxy. Eleanor's heart raced, but she stayed cool. Abigail unveiled the duplicate, red-lined and time-stamped, plagiarized from your draft, she announced. Recorder whirring silently. Neighbors murmured as Eleanor tore the papers in half. Quiet isn't weakness, she said, voice steady for the first time in months. David stammered, you're making a scene. Abigail's retort, no, this is clarity. They fled, tails between legs. Nights blurred with strategy sessions. Victoria poring over screenshots. Abigail brewing strong coffee. Eleanor adding her insights from years teaching resilient teens. A false fire alarm at 2 a.m.? Security footage caught David's jacket silhouette. An elder planner at the door. Clipboard in hand? Sent packing. With Victoria filing ethics complaints. Eleanor's resolve hardened like Miami's coral reefs. She wasn't just surviving, she was strategizing. Turning every assault into ammunition. The storm peaked when the white envelope slithered under Eleanor's door like a venomous snake. No stamp, no return address, just 6 pages of legalese venom. David and Lisa filing for conservatorship. Claiming Eleanor's mental decline and erratic decisions. Erratic? The woman who'd balanced school budgets through recessions, stretched pensions during market crashes, and inspired hundreds with her unshakable poise? Eleanor didn't crumble, she laughed, a deep, liberating belly laugh that echoed off her beige walls. Game on, Abigail declared, summoning Victoria. The lawyer's eyes gleamed as she dissected the filing. Phrases cribbed from online templates. California laws misapplied to Florida statutes. Amateur hour, she scoffed. But beneath the bluster lurked forgeries. Eleanor's signature faked on foundation amendments. Timestamps doctored. A meeting, cited at a closed Miami cafe. Victoria's forensic expert tore it apart. Metadata mismatches. A board member listed who'd resigned months prior. Sloppy greed. The report read. Abigail filed the counter-motion. Fraud. Perjury. Attempted misappropriation of nonprofit assets. The DA's office perked up. Elder welfare foundations triggered automatic reviews. Turning civil spat into potential criminal charges. Eleanor, meanwhile, aced a full cognitive eval. Blood pressure steady. Memory sharp as a tack. Reflexes defying her age. Copies mailed to David. No note. Just cold. Hard proof. Silence from the duo lasted weeks. But Abigail's alerts pinged. A bank inquiry. Lisa posing as Eleanor to add beneficiaries. Flagged and frozen. Then, the charm offensive. A dinner invite to their rented Miami villa, they'd flown down. Sniffing opportunity. Eleanor went. Navy dress hugging her frame. Gold watch. Henry's gift. Glinting defiantly. Over roasted chicken and forced smiles. The grandkids wide-eyed. David circled. Let's review estate stuff. For peace. Eleanor slid her envelope. The foundation's irrevocable charter. Assets locked for scholarships. Abuse hotlines. Health outreaches. David's face drained of color. This cuts us out? Lisa whispered. No. Eleanor said softly. It chooses clarity over control. She left. The doors click her final punctuation. But desperation breeds recklessness. A new motion. Contesting Eleanor's exploitation. More forgeries. Faked board votes. Notarized lies. Victoria pounced. Notary statements denying involvement. Timelines unraveling like cheap yarn. The hearing was electric. A modest courtroom. Wooden benches creaking under tension. David and Lisa sat rigid. Their lawyer fumbling. Abigail laid it bare. Audio clips of manipulations. Photologs of intrusions. Expert reports shredding fakes. The judge, a no-nonsense veteran, recessed briefly, then ruled. Motions denied. Foundation protected. DA referral for fraud probes. Eleanor stepped into the Miami sun. Abigail's arm linked with hers. You did it, her sister whispered. But Eleanor knew. This wasn't just legal win, it was reclaiming her narrative. No more invisible widow, she was unbreakable. Victory's afterglow didn't bring fireworks, it brought quiet power. Eleanor didn't gloat or seek revenge, That wasn't her. Instead, she poured her energy into the foundation, transforming pain into purpose. Picture her in the new office space, walls painted sage green by eager volunteers. Desks humming with activity. Liana, a young coordinator from Oregon, hugged her. You saved this. Eleanor smiled. No, we build it together. Events bloomed like Florida orchids. Community days at town halls. Free workshops on estate planning for seniors. Meals for isolated widows. Consultations for reinvention. 200 attended the launch. Stories shared over coffee. Tears mingling with laughter. Eleanor spoke briefly. Age doesn't dim us. It sharpens our light. Headlines followed. 74-year-old widow turns betrayal into beacon for elders. National blogs amplified. Eleanor's fight. Why silence is strength. David faded. No calls. Just a lawyer's package releasing claims. Lisa vanished. Spotted packing a SUV. Fleeing north. Eleanor donated David's childhood mementos to shelters. Let go to make space. Mornings became rituals. 3-mile beach walks. Neighbors joining in silent solidarity. One day, a young mom stopped her. You're Eleanor? The one who fought back? Tears welled. Thank you for showing us how. Evenings. Eleanor wrote. Letters to herself. I did not vanish. I evolved. Gardens flourished. Apple trees planted. Symbols of hope she might not harvest. But others would. Grace, wait. Victoria, keeping consistent, visited with casseroles. Planning writing workshops. Stories are untouchable treasures. Peace settled like Miami's gentle waves, not absence of storm, but earned calm. Eleanor, once shivering under a bridge, now stood tall. Organizer. Inspiration. Proof that 74 is prime time for rebirth. Eleanor's saga screams resilience. From abandoned underpass to empowered philanthropist. Her journey shows support, from sisters like Abigail, lawyers like Victoria, and inner steel can rewrite any script. Truths might shines. Meticulous records. Evidence hoards. Legal savvy turntables, proving preparation trumps panic. It's never too late. At 74, Eleanor redefined life. Giving back. Inspiring multitudes not to be diminished by age or kindness. If shadows loom, remember, your story's ongoing. Grab the pen. Draw the line. Rise unapologetically.